I'm going to call the June 16th, 2026 Select Board to order, and we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, Madam Town Manager, you're up.
Okay,
Get us going here.
as you can see, these reports are continuing to grow a bit. I'll try to summarize the key points for you. The 140 TIP project has been completed to 29. They are related to the need for additional borings, analysis and design of a new retaining wall near Williams Street, and right-of-way impacts. The Historical Commission is aware of the proposed design change, and they agree with building a concrete wall because it's a safety concern, but they have requested we provide a stone facade to match the rest of the wall as closely as possible. We've been busy with end of year, and we've processed all of our employee action forms with COLAs and increases for FY27 and submitted them to the treasurer collector, so the payroll adjustments can be made starting July 1st. Department heads are also submitting employee performance appraisals to HR no later than June 30th. Since I came in at an odd time of the year, I will be meeting individually with department heads, and I've asked them to fill out a self-evaluation with a focus on their accomplishments for FY26 and what their goals are for FY27. And then I can use that as a jumping off document when we do the FY27 emails. Interviews for the new part-time ESS program specialist position are underway, with the recommended appointment expected to be made at the next meeting. And also seasonal laborers and a heavy foot pump operator position for DPW are also underway. A lot going on at the Board of Health. Very busy with food truck and restaurant inspections. Matt had noted that perk tests were up, but those have leveled off a little bit as the weather had changed for the season. Good news, it has been determined that the ReTrack recycling grant can be used to pay for the replacement of residents' damaged recycling bins.
Nice.
So we're in the process of, Matt's in the process of setting all that up with the Board of Health, but that is really good news. That's one of the biggest complaints that they received down there. Pratt Pond testing started last week, and no issues have been detected so far. We have the plastic bag recycling challenge underway. Bags can be dropped off in bins at Town Hall and at the community center. And there's a draft noise ordinance that Board of Health is working on at the moment. For the police department, I met with the police union to discuss a request for a side letter that would do a unified detail rate. And it's been drafted and is under review with town council. Once we get there, I'll have more information on. I also met with the fire union. I think a rainy Memorial Day weekend got everybody like sitting down and doing things they've been wanting to do for a while. So as I got 2 union requests, and there's a possible MOU we're discussing to look at allowing the 8 paramedics and EMT to move to a rotating 24-hour shift now that they can pair them up in 2s. I know land use, Michael's here, but they've been working on the final draft of the Mass Office of Disabilities grant to make the ADA renovations at Racine and Kiwanis Beach. And it sounds like the ZBA has been busy working on variances for both. On recreation, the numbers do remain down for Kids at Play registrations. They have come up a bit. They're currently averaging about 36 kids per day. They have been taking steps to mitigate potential funding shortfalls. They've applied for a cultural grant next year. They've got a Unibank sponsorship for field trips. They did an expense budget freeze, and they are scaling back staff to the minimum, in addition to having the Girl Scouts run the mural at the concert. And looking through funding, and we've been in regular discussions about, where we're at and what we'll continue to do. So I did receive some potential good news this evening that they may not have a shortfall, but in the process of still reviewing that information, and I'll keep you updated on that. Held our May department head meeting, at which the fun topic of First Amendment audits was discussed, using myself as the example, a guinea pig, when they came a few years ago. So that's fun. talked about performance appraisals and looking to have folks provide a short memo to go along with items on the select board agendas, because that really helps us not only understand the item, especially if someone can't be there, but to draft the motions. So we'll be discussing that a little bit more further. The Collins Center will be starting the capital improvement plan midsummer. I had the opportunity to meet with Senator Ryan Fatman on the 29th, and we had a great discussion about town. And I am recommending that we cancel the first meeting in July. It's on, typo there, that's on July 7th, not July 17th. And only meet on the 21st. We could do the same for August, but we definitely need to keep the 18th because there's a planned fire department pinning ceremony. So that would be up to the discretion of the board, how you'd like to proceed with summer meetings. Couple of just updates on events. We have the ground breaking June 22nd at the Habitat for Humanity project, 28 Hartford Ave North at 10. June 23rd, there's a scams presentation with the Elizabeth VA office and Upton PD at 1. Just a note that Friday, July 3rd, the town hall will be closed in observance of the July 4th holiday. And just got notified of a really neat event happening at the library on July 15th. The Boston Bruins mascot Blades will be at the library from 12 to 9.
Oh.
And all are welcome. Just a couple of upcoming discussion items. We have a plethora of applications to use the great room and the kitchen, and right now a very cumbersome paperwork process. So we're really in the process of trying to update that application, streamline it. It is putting significant amount of work here on our office. I mean, we're getting anywhere from like 5 to 8 applications a week and having to have everyone sign off on them, and we don't have DocuSign, and we're trying to figure all that out. Also still working on the Town Manager Act update. I did get red line changes back from council this week that I need to review and resubmit back to the state. We are also looking at the fall special town meeting date. I am proposing November 10th because I know we talked about November 3rd, but it's 2 days after the state elections, as Denise pointed out. So I don't think that's really fair to her. And I really would not like to do that to her. So we can discuss if that's, the date that we can make work. And then also from a lot of the discussions I've had, including tea with the town manager and the finance committee, we're looking into senior tax exemptions that other communities like Concord and Southborough have passed to provide some relief to low-income seniors on their taxes. So no guarantees, but researching that to see if it's possible that we could do here. And that's all I have for you.
Very good. Any questions?
No.
The tip delay, that's the tip project from all the way up there, all the way up here, right? Or is that
That's the roundabout center project.
the roundabout, the
right? Yeah,
whole
sorry,
thing,
but I
the
think
whole,
we'll-
yeah, okay. So it was what previously? I know it's moved a few times,
It
but
started at the 27th, I know it's the 20, that was 2020, now it's 2029.
yeah, and that's primarily because of what they have run into at William Street. Yeah, okay. Thank you. And the Town Manager Act update, we just did that. So why are we doing that again?
The state kicked it back, the Attorney General's office
Yeah.
with changes that needed
Yeah.
to be made.
Okay.
So council has been working on those changes to the language, and then we have
Okay.
to send it back to the State House.
Got it. Okay, how long is that expected to take?
Well, my goal is to get it back prior to July 31st, because otherwise it has to be refiled, which I spoke with Senator Fatman about. It's not actually that big of a deal to get it refiled, but since I got it back, I'd like to get it there.
Yeah.
And then from there, legislature moves at their own pace.
Yeah, I'm less worried about the legislature and more worried about our town council taking
Oh,
so long.
okay.
Does it need it to take a month to review something like that?
No, they gave me the changes back, so I need.
Oh, so
to
you have the
Just
changes?
incorporate them and get them to, over back to the state. I
Oh,
just.
okay. Oh, got it, okay. All right, so the hot potato is in your hand.
Hot potatoes in my.
Okie
You
dokie.
got it.
All
A
right,
lot of red lines on it, wasn't there?
Quite a few.
Yes.
And I also want to make sure I review it and understand it before I send it on as well.
okay, perfect. Thank you very much. That was all I had.
May I ask through the chair if we
course.
could discuss the possible November special town meeting date of November 10th, as well as if you want to cancel any July or August meetings?
Sure, yeah, you want to do that now?
Well, I did incorporate into the town manager report, so we could do it now if that's works for you.
Fine, I don't think anybody,
When would it open?
The
Warrant.
I haven't backed into the dates yet for that, but it can open early. I mean, it has to be obviously posted 2 weeks before for a special town meeting, but you'd open it. I kind of like to do it at the beginning of September, and then you have some time, and I will be working on a budget calendar for FY 28. That's also going to include the town meetings.
because I feel like last year we opened it in August.
You can
I
do if
think
you
we
want
did.
earlier,
We did, yeah,
I mean, if we're only gonna have one meeting, we could do it at that meeting.
yeah,
the 18th.
That's fine.
yeah.
And I have no problem with canceling the 7th in July.
I want to wait till the end of our discussion today about Helene, because if we end up having a special town meeting, we're gonna have to figure out if we need to have more conversations or fewer. Buttoned up before we commit. That's okay. All right. Good.
Good.
Next up is any public comment.
I have something if nobody else does, but I'll wait my turn.
Yep, I don't see anybody up there. I don't see any hands.
Yes, you do.
All right, go for it.
No, I just wanted to say in regards to, not only is the Board of Health going to be able to replace people's recycle bins, we are going to order some of the stickers that you can put inside your recycle bins, so people know what you can and cannot throw away, which is helpful. And I wanted to thank everyone. We had probably one of the busiest hazardous waste days we've ever seen. I've been doing it for 5 years. It was steady. It was amazing. And luckily I brought my pickup truck because I filled up 2/3 of the bed with sharps. I don't think people realize the Board of Health will take used sharps containers and provide new ones. People have been storing them for quite some time. And we've never seen that before. I mean, we've gotten 1 or 2 containers, but 2/3 of a 6-foot bed was a lot. So we will also be, the Board of Health will also be putting much better notification out. And I know Matt's working with Kathleen this week to revamp the Board of Health website, make it easier to use. My update.
Great. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a discussion with representation from the Economic Development Committee on planning for the West Upton area.
Mike Antonellis, Director of Land Use and Inspectional Services, dedicated staff for the Economic Development Committee. We likely don't have a quorum tonight. That's fine, no agenda. This is informational for everyone here tonight and who wants to view it later. As to what we've been working on, I included a memo describing what we're looking at tonight, and we have Dodson and Flinker who is joining us via the Teams meeting. So in November 2023, you all endorsed a plan that included funding for 3 projects. One of those projects, all of those projects would be funded through the Chapter 268 of the Acts of 2022, the earmarks for economic recovery funds. And one of those projects was this, a visioning workshop for West Upton. So in early 2025, the EDC engaged the services of Dodson Flinker, which is a planning firm out of Western Mass that had previously assisted the town with the vision plan that you have for the center here. And so working with meetings for workshops, all of which were open to the public, we had the ability to have people join remotely via Microsoft Teams during those. And they're also, I think all of them are posted on YouTube as well. Take a look. Maybe the first few aren't, but most of them are. The process consisted of 6 working group meetings and ended with a public meeting presentation on May 27th at the community center. Throughout the process, the public has been able to access this information concerning the dates and times of the workshops. It's all been posted on the EDC's landing page, listed out when those would be. And obviously when things changed, it was updated. So Dodson Flinker has been a fantastic partner throughout this process and has provided a substantial document for you all to review, which I linked in the memo here. It's also on the EDC landing page. You can take a look at that that vision. Yeah, thanks again to them and to everybody's hard work, all the EDC and the residents who showed up to participate with it. So I think you have a good product here. There might not be always agreement on certain actions and maybe disagreement on goals, but I think it provides a good vision for you all and good direction for me if you want to act on it as well. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll hand it over to Dodson Flinker to give you an abbreviated presentation, a version of what was provided on May 27th.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Good evening, Select Board. I'm Dylan Sussman from Dodson and Flinker. So as Michael said, we're gonna give you a brief presentation. So I'm here, Peter Flinker, the president of the firm is here, and it looks like Shane Mullmeister, our colleague, is here as well. So let me find. All right, it looks like you can see my screen. I can see just the bottom of your monitor on my screen. All right, so thank you for having us. So yeah, as Michael said, this was a plan to develop a vision and action strategy for the future of West Upton Center. The study area covered, of course, the intersection of Main Street, Maple Ave, Hartford Ave North, and Hartford Ave South, but also stretched to the west to about the West River near Glen Avenue, and to the east to the intersection of Main Street and Mendon Street. To the north, it's about one parcel deep, and then to the south, it goes down to the railroad tracks. So we were looking at that whole area and trying to figure out what's happening there now and what should be there for the future, and what can the downtown do to support the best possible outcomes for Upton Center. The project kicked off in May of last year, and we had our public forum about a month ago. So about a 1-year process. As Michael said, there was a working group a volunteer ad hoc working group that sort of led the work and gave us input throughout. We had 6 meetings throughout the process with them, including a visioning workshop, which you see in a photo of in the middle there. It included a variety of stations, one of which was using little styrofoam models to test out opportunities for development and changes in the center there. And I just want to thank the working group members, the EDC, and all the members of the public who participated in this project. We always try to make sure that the plans reflect the will of the community. And I think in this case, it does. Although, of course, there's some disagreement, I think, with some recommendations. So what makes West Upton special? It's a transportation crossroads dating back to the 1830s. It was once a thriving industrial village with hat manufacturing, hotels, and trolley service. So if you get a chance to look at historic photos of West Upton, it's pretty amazing how the center was once this kind of dense, vibrant place with taller buildings that are there now. And it was in some ways a more vibrant center in the past than it is now. But it still has the bones of a walkable village hub. And we've heard that it's kind of the most walkable part of Upton. It has diverse housing currently, including multifamily, single family, affordable housing, market rate housing. So a really wide variety of housing that's meeting a lot of housing needs in Upton, which is great. The state highway provides a lot of traffic, which means there's a built-in customer base. And we've heard that it's a place to see neighbors and access businesses. So as I mentioned, there are about 10,000 cars that travel through West Upton Center, which makes it an opportunity for business activity. 10,000 vehicles is 10,000 potential customers. In addition, Upton has a well-educated and high-income resident population, which means that there's an opportunity for expanded business activity in West Upton. So what makes sense to us is that this center would build on the local service cluster that's already there and try to expand that customer base to capture some of the more of the people who are passing through, as well as more of the residents in Upton at large. And then adding additional residents to this area would create more of a built-in market base for businesses in this area. So I'm talking about businesses because this project was sponsored by the EDC, and obviously it's a key center for the town. It's a key commercial center to support your tax base and also to meet the needs for goods and services and potentially jobs for residents of Upton. So looking at the study area itself, this map shows you, it's called a hillshade map, so it's showing you sort of steep slopes, what's high, what's low. And you can see that the center of West Upton, at the intersection of Hartford Ave North and Main Street, is kind of sandwiched between a steep slope to the north and then a hill a little bit to the southeast. And then it drops off to the West River and wetlands associated with that. So it's relatively constrained by slopes and wetlands and bedrock. This map is showing you a number of different constraints overlaid on top of each other. The whole mapping series is in the report. But the upshot is that there are limited opportunities for the center to grow outwards, but infill and redevelopment could have significant benefits in this area, all while respecting the historic character of the center. And sort of the historic character that's there now is predominantly on the edges of Main Street. So the center has kind of been rebuilt under a kind of auto-oriented template. So historic buildings have been replaced by the Coach Road Apartments, gas stations, and the shopping plaza that's there. But then there's more historic character preserved on the edges. While it's a walkable center in terms of the density of businesses and housing, the sidewalks they're missing sidewalks that connect the center to adjacent residential neighborhoods. And in the center itself along Main Street and Hartford Ave North, the sidewalks are lacking shade from trees and buffers between the sidewalks and the travel lanes. And there's a lot of traffic, a lot of noise, and a lot of truck traffic in particular that makes the place less enjoyable to walk around. And in addition, the right-of-ways are narrow. So there are opportunities for pedestrian improvements, but they're not sort of quick, easy wins. And you have a TIP project in the works to do some of that along Main Street. Parking, we heard a lot about parking in this project. So the parking design, as you can see in this photo, is parking's taking up a lot of room. It's generally inefficient because it's sort of every lot has its own parking, which is inherently inefficient, and the lots are not connected together. So it's not functioning as kind of a place where you park once and walk to multiple destinations, which is kind of the hallmark of a walkable village center. So improving that situation is really important for the future of West Upton. The zoning in this area doesn't reflect the existing character. It doesn't reflect the historic character. It's kind of a auto-oriented zoning template that's been overlaid on a much more rich historic place. And it's because of that, combined with the limitations on use and height and setbacks, it's hindering positive change in West Upton Center. So I think that applies particularly in what's the GB zone, which is this reddish color in the center. And then in addition, you have a commercial and industrial zone that's covering a predominantly residential area. So residential use in this commercial industrial zone is not allowed by right. It's only allowed by special permit. And the zoning limits development to 1 story when most of the structures in that area are more than 1 story. So zoning is not particularly well suited for a positive future for West Upton. So we developed a vision for West Upton in collaboration with the committee and coming out of meetings and workshops. So some key aspects of that are to build on West Upton's walkable historic pattern to make it a more attractive destination, to facilitate redevelopment of underutilized sites with a preference for mixed use in the center, to preserve historic assets, to encourage shared parking, to extend trails from the center to nearby natural areas, and to improve streetscapes and placemaking. All of that's with the goal of sort of West Upton remaining a place where small town charm, local commerce, and housing come together to create a vibrant and enduring heart of community life. So Peter's going to talk about how that would play out on the ground in a sort of ideal vision.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan, and good evening, everyone. It's great to be here. So this is an existing map with some sort of hand-drawn tracing of what's there now. And we really focused on the intersection of Main Street and Hartford Avenue because that's where the most change is likely. And this is really to demonstrate what's possible. It's not to say that this is going to happen necessarily, but it kind of shows, it illustrates a series of principles which could be incorporated into zoning. They could direct some actions of the town, et cetera, and we'll talk more about that. But basically, so this is Main Street going left and right, Hartford Avenue on a diagonal, and you see the West Upton Plaza there in the center as sort of the existing landmark with the Spatewood Gallery and the former Unitarian Church sort of on the opposite corner. And in the proposed plan, what you're seeing here is the gray buildings are existing buildings that could remain. And then what we're showing is in the tan or brown buildings are potential future buildings. And again, this is not something we want to emphasize for anyone watching tonight. This is not something that's going to be forced on anyone. This is mostly private land, and each landowner will have the ability to make their own decisions. But it's really meant just to demonstrate, again, principles and possibilities for the future, which could be incorporated in zoning if you want to encourage this kind of vision to happen. But that all is going to take a lot more conversation. But for tonight, we want to talk about sort of the key principles. So if you go to the next slide, Dylan, zoom in a little bit. So big ideas, you see some large parking lots. And so the idea is to consolidate parking in the rear away from the street, opening up the street frontage for expanding existing buildings and building new buildings, which could accommodate more offices, retail, commercial uses, hotels, or whatever it might be, with shops, with new homes and apartments above them. Where also that large building on the upper left is a sort of a new apartment that might replace the existing Coach Road apartments. And we'll show you what that looks like. But basically by consolidating the parking, which is kind of a very classic strategy for revitalizing a town center, you make much more efficient use of the land. And it also allows you to make the area between the parking and the street sort of totally devoted to pedestrians, which is more comfortable. As you see, there's a lot more room for the stuff that people come to the center to see, which is active uses, open spaces, plantings with trees, and so on. And we have some illustrations that show how that works. If you go to the next slide. So this is looking west on Main Street with Hartford Avenue sort of going off to the right of this image. You see Spatewood Gallery, the old church. And the next slide shows potential future redevelopment of this area. And what you see is we've taken a lot of the parking away from those individual properties and just moved it next to it on the interior of the block, where there's quite a lot of space, which appears to be developable, where you could build parking lots. And the idea is this allows you then to close off all those separate curb cuts and consolidate access in a couple of main areas which lead to these rear parking lots, and then they're connected across lot lines. So you have sort of a separate parallel circulation route on the interior of the block. And what that allows, of course, is then to reduce the traffic conflicts of people pulling on and off Main Street from each individual use. It also allows you to make a wonderful sort of pedestrian area where there are limited conflicts between pedestrians and vehicles. So you see on the upper right is the sort of potential redevelopment of the Coach Road apartments into a larger apartment building. And this is just shown for the sake of illustrating that there's a lot of space there within that existing site, and this would basically double the amount of apartments that are there now. And then we'll talk a little bit more on the next slide of some of the other parcels. This is looking to the northeast, with Main Street to the right and Hartford Avenue to the left, and the plaza in the center. And what we heard universally is that while people appreciate the convenience of gas stations and shopping plaza and the ATM, they not really appreciate the way it looks that much. And once you're parked your car and you step out of it, it's not necessarily the most uplifting place to be. So this is kind of an illustration of what every town has gone through, for the last 50, 75 years of we've tried to accommodate the automobile, but then we've lost the wonderful sense of our downtowns as walkable places that sort of celebrate the community. So the next slide shows, again, one alternative vision, which is to, again, move the parking to the rear. And you see that parking lot in the back of that main block. And that allows you to create a new building, which sort of frames the street, completely pedestrian around it with lots of room for new trees, pedestrian plaza. And that basically is the model for each block. So on the left, you see the redevelopment of the Coach Road Apartments, which could have parking tucked underneath it. There's another new building just on the lower left on the corner, that site. And we've left existing buildings on the right where those sort of fit well within the existing pattern. And then, of course, going up and down Main Street, you have a wonderful collection of historic, primarily residential buildings, which would be great to preserve, but maybe allow some expansion to the rear and to the side of buildings. And again, by consolidating parking, we create room for all of that good stuff to happen. The next slide shows from ground level, sort of existing and potential future. This sort of illustrates that even if you're going from what now you don't allow more than a 2-story building, but by allowing a 3 or 3.5 story building, there's plenty of room for it there, and it doesn't overwhelm that space because there is so much pavement that even a fairly large building is needed to create the sense of sort of a landmark in that spot, create a sense of kind of arriving in a real place, which is what we're after. Then the next one shows a little bit closer on that building again, an environment that's dominated by automobile-related uses. And the next slide shows maybe we can have an environment that's dominated by people-related uses. It's not that we're getting rid of cars anytime soon, but let's allow people to park, on the other side of the building and walk into the building to do all their shopping and then come out into this wonderful plaza, have a cup of coffee or what have you. And then not least of all, to allow replanting of a lot of trees. And this is quickly looking from the opposite side, from the parking lot side. And part of the formula is to create a really nice environment to walk from your parking lots into the center of this thing. And economically, what this provides is a real diverse set of opportunities for businesses. You can have a small shop or a larger shop. You could be on the main street. You could have probably a less expensive space on the interior and what have you. So again, with apartments, the second and third floors to help support all those shops, you're building something which really enhances both, as we say, the economic resilience, creating opportunities, but then also sort of social resilience, places to live, places to hang out, and something which, really builds on what West Upton used to be when everyone was walking around and living their life on the street. So Dylan's going to talk a little bit, and then we'll conclude with the how this could be implemented.
Yeah, so two key strategies for achieving that vision. The first is we're calling placemaking, and the second are zoning changes. So placemaking is basically, all the strategies for creating a great, unique, memorable, inviting place. That can include planters, street trees, outdoor seating, murals, pop-up markets, branding and wayfinding, and other streetscape elements. One of the great things about placemaking is you can do low cost, fast cheap things like converting an existing alley to an inviting space by just painting the pavement and putting in benches and hanging some umbrellas, or painting murals. There are a lot of cheap and quick things that you can do with placemaking that I think would be possible in West Upton and make it a more appealing place. To lead those efforts, we recommend establishing a committee to take charge of that and carry it forward. On the zoning side, as I said, the zoning has some challenges currently. We recommend that you adopt new village commercial mixed-use district in the center with more flexibility and dimensional changes. We recommend a new village residential district that allows more housing types. We recommend changing the industrial district. We heard pretty clearly through the working group that people didn't think that industrial district was appropriate over what's currently a residential neighborhood. That you allow up to 3 or 3.5 story buildings for mixed use developments. At this point, the residential use is generally more economically viable than commercial. So often those upper stories are needed to make a mixed use project viable. And then reducing parking minimums and encouraging shared parking, adopting incentives for adaptive reuse of historic structures so that they get reused and retained instead of torn down and replaced, and then adopting design guidelines or design standards to make sure that everything adheres to those principles that Peter was talking about. Other top priorities for the plan include conducting a market study for businesses and housing to make sure that any zoning changes you adopt or any infrastructure you invest in this area will result in viable projects. Supporting property owners who want to pursue mixed use projects. So that could include like helping them with grant applications if there's a particular infrastructure or pre-development work that needs to happen to make a project work. Conducting a parking study, calming traffic on Maple and Hartford Aves, pursuing complete streets funding for Maple Ave sidewalk extension, so that could run down to potentially to the cemetery and then connect through there to the school. Reducing impacts from trucks, including conducting a road safety audit of Main Street and Maple Ave intersection, where there have been a lot of trucks making right-hand turns and crashing into streetlights and the front porch of the former church. Limiting the use of Jake brakes in the center. And then medium priority actions include pursuing a National Register of Historic Places listing for this area, supporting continuing use of the former Unitarian Church, and establishing a trail connection between the Coach Road housing and Pleasant Woods. So that's what we have for you today. Happy to take any questions or comments.
Questions? Comments? No, that was a wonderful presentation. It's this is a small part of a much larger set of work and recommendations, which I think is very valuable to the town, to Michael as a town planner, for us to all have sort of the creative ideas and visions. And it's nice to get some outside expertise and perspective to sort of paint a picture of what could be, and what makes sense for Upton and what makes sense for the community members here is something that will sort of evolve and emerge, but having this kind of stuff on the shelf to help guide those discussions, right? Like we've got the insight, we know what we need to do next to sort of explore this. So I'm very grateful for all the work and time that people have put into this, including the community members and folks here. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, about one of the meetings along the way, but
Thank
I'm
you.
curious of those of the new proposed buildings. Is there a guesstimate on how many housing units that would provide besides the elderly Coach Road replacement?
Yes, how many additional housing units? Again, obviously, this is all sort of right. This is very blue sky
Yes,
stuff,
right.
but like just based on the plan that you put together, is it another 100 housing units or 20, or do we have a number for that?
As I recall, the Coach Road redevelopment, there's existing 40 units, and what I'm showing there goes to 80.
Yeah.
We're showing some freestanding apartments on the south side, which would be another 40 or 50 units, and then there might be on the upper stories room for another 40 or 50 units. It's detailed in the report, so I don't have the numbers right to hand.
No, but
But a
that's
lot
an
of
order of
that,
magnitude, right? That's sort of, right. It's a significant number of, housing that would, be Upton affordable, but, not $1 million house, but these would be units that would probably be in the $500,000 to $800,000 range, right? I mean, it's just, I see with like what they're doing over on, the 55 plus units now, that's sort of where those are, but that seems like this would be something similar.
yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
think part of the zoning, which Dylan discussed, but would require a lot of discussion as to what range of uses you would want and how much
Right.
you want to support affordability, how much a lot of towns are interested just in creating smaller market rate units, as you described. So, yeah, it's a pretty big range, but I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, and all
Good.
of that depends on private property owners actually being interested in taking on projects. So the likelihood of all of that changing is, small and very long term.
Good, thank you. Good question. Any other questions? Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks
Thank
so
you very
much.
much. Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, oh, go ahead.
Thanks, Mike.
See you later, Mike. Review and vote on the town's sustainable purchasing policy.
We have that one.
Matt? Yeah, thank you.
So as Laura had mentioned earlier, yes, the purchasing of the recycling bins with the stickers, this kind of goes hand in hand with this grant, the Recycling Dividend Program grant, from Mass DEP. For the first time ever, for some unknown reason, they are requiring that a sustainable purchasing policy go before the town select board and town manager for signatures and approval. Just saying that when financially feasible, that you will try your best to, incorporate sustainable purchasing instead of, buying plastic, per se, I'm just trying to move upstream and, do our best to contribute less to the pollution of the environment. So the whole policy should be in the packet.
Yep, we have that. And your memo. Perfect, thank you. Any questions on the policy
So
itself?
if I can, it's not a mandate, it's just a suggestion that we attempt to do our best.
Yes, yep.
Okay, because as we level, sometimes sustainable means money.
It's just kind of like a mindful suggestion that if there is a sustainable option for anything that we're purchasing, if, perhaps it could be cheaper, just kind of in the
Sure.
back of our minds to be on the
Yeah.
lookout for.
Yeah.
When all of us are doing ordering.
And I think it's right to your point, like it's sort of, part of it is just building awareness and a sense of mindfulness that this is our preference.
Yeah.
Right? We're obviously not looking to waste taxpayers' money, but if all else being equal and we have a sustainable option, we should pursue it. So I think it
And
makes
listen,
a lot of sense.
Like, we are the example for the pay-as-you-throw. Again, DEP recognizes that, they recognize our efforts in recycling collection, because a lot of towns don't. And every week recycling collection is every other, or sometimes even once a month.
Yeah,
So I mean, we're doing a really great job already. Sustainable Upton has been mentioned by the contact who I speak with over at DEP regarding the recycling dividend program. So we're doing a great job already. And they're not going to take funds, like the funds that we're using for the recycling bins and the stickers. We already have those. This is just so that we can continue to keep getting funding.
yeah. Great.
Good. All good.
Anything else we want to talk about with this? All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. I move that the select board adopt the town of Upton sustainable purchase policy as presented to guide municipal procurement practices that prioritize environmental performance, public health, and waste reduction in accordance with MGL Chapter 30B and the Commonwealth's environmentally preferable products guidelines.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous action. Thank you.
Thank you,
Great.
Matt.
Thank you, Rachel, Matt. Thank
Good
you. Yes, see you later. All right, next up, we are going to talk about our discussion with the Historical Society regarding moving the museum from the second floor to the first floor of the Racine Building.
I am Barry Lynn, 66 Rockwood Lane. Thank you for inviting us here tonight. The Upton Historical Society requests permission to expand the museum onto the first floor of the Knowlton Racine Building. It would allow us to better preserve and display artifacts, create more engaging exhibits, improve educational opportunities, and better make use of currently unused town space for the benefit of the community. This request is supported by over 100 residents, the Economic Development Committee, and the Historical Commission. The first floor space would also improve accessibility for visitors who may be unable to access the second floor, which is where the museum is today, allowing more residents and visitors to engage with Upton's history. The second floor would continue to be used for administrative purposes, and we would transfer what we have now, the artifacts in the attic, down to the second floor to better preserve them. We are prepared to offer alternative accommodations when requested, including video presentations with staff-guided interpretation of museum space and exhibits that may not yet be fully accessible. We believe this approach demonstrates a good faith effort to expand public access to Upton's history while actively pursuing long-term accessibility improvements. Upton Historical Society currently has a YouTube channel with 12 playlists. We have a Facebook page with 1,400 followers, and we have over 80,000 views a month, mostly from the surrounding areas, including Upton and all the surrounding towns. We also maintain a website which has 500 site visitors a month. We respectfully request your approval for a temporary accommodation so that the Upton Historical Society may expand museum operations onto the first floor during this interim period. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Any questions, thoughts, reflections?
Oh, the accessibility and how you plan on making it ADA compliant, access for everyone.
So currently there's a ramp that provides ADA compliance to get into the first floor. But we obviously don't have an ADA compliant bathroom at this point in time. I know that a grant has been filed, which should hear something by the end of the year.
Kristen, is that an issue for us with any ADA regulations or? I know there's no, I don't think there's handicap van parking on that side.
There's
There's not a van parking space.
Dan?
A designated van parking space. Yeah, I did have the opportunity to meet internally with some staff to discuss this and thank Dennis, John, and Mike and Lynn also did some contributions, given her extensive knowledge on ADA regulations. I think from what we understand, temporary use of the ADA compliant bathrooms at the town hall during events addresses that concern while we're in the process of applying for funds to renovate it. The problem though is it creates some building security concerns at the town hall because you're going to have people coming into a otherwise vacant building. So that's a conversation that would need to be had. We also have to address the parking with the van access, as you mentioned, and DPW would need to assess whether there's sufficient turning radius in the parking lot to add those parking spaces. Also, and Dennis can provide the dates, but the Grove Street Bridge project is moving ahead full steam. So there may be some accessibility issues to the parking lot and the street closures during that process. And from what I understand as well, because the hallways are narrow, there's not an accessible path right now either to the kitchen or the back room. So only use of the main room would be allowed, which I think we talked about. You were talking about displaying in the main.
That's right.
In the main area.
Yeah, the big open area.
Right. And, you know, I appreciate the fact that you can't hold really events on the second floor space because that's not accessible unless you use the chairlift, which doesn't comply with current requirements. And I would want to say, if you're looking at the lesser of problematic situations, obviously having folks on the first floor with accessible bathrooms here puts us at, less risk than trying to hold events on the second floor. I think there's just some pieces we would need to work out. Also, I would recommend that a lease would be in place. And I think we talked about that a little bit too. My only concern with that I'd have to look into is the value of the space. And if we have authorization to do a lease for the space, and if it's over 35,000 in value, we have to issue, go through an RFP process. So that's just a couple of the, I don't think they're insurmountable challenges, but things that we would need to think about as we consider making this move.
Now, I was told that there was already a lease in place, but I've never seen it.
I have not found one. It's possible there is one, but I have not.
Not aware of it.
one. You have insurance.
Oh, insurance?
We've seen
Liability
insurance, but
insurance,
not a lease.
Dennis, any perspective on particularly the timing of the Grove Street construction, when it start and end?
So Grove Street Bridge the bid opening is the 23rd of this month.
Oh.
We're projecting that we're gonna be notice to proceed in July and shovel in the ground in August. It's a 250-day project. So we're looking at between when the contractor begins work to roughly about May. We're gonna see a lot of commotion out in front of that entire area is gonna be disrupted, including logistically the parking lot. The parking lot is so close to the bridge, it's gonna be impossible to not see cranes and other large apparatus at times that's gonna completely block that parking lot off. And unfortunately, I can't mandate a schedule with the contractor because we're not allowed. The method and means is the responsibility of the awarded contract. I can't tell them.
Yeah.
That they have to leave that parking lot open during these times.
When does the road close?
I would imagine it'll be early.
That's one of the first things they do.
Is dismantle that bridge.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so I mean, so there's definitely a sort of timing with the construction. I think the first question we need to ask ourselves is this something that we want to proceed with as an opportunity? And if we do, then we can sort of go through the process of what all the next steps are and sort of how we get there and all of that. If we think we want to wait to decide later, or we want to decide not to do it, then I think we don't have to worry about what all those hoops are that we would have to jump through. So, because we had at one point, there was discussion, and again, not that this would stop us from long-term using that as like town hall overflow administrative space, right? Like if we got to a point where we were constrained here, we might have to relocate you at a future point, right? So I'm not sure. I sort of have a lower bar to getting to a temporary arrangement, right? I'm very supportive of that. What I don't want to do is create an expectation that now that space is permanent and now we're stuck looking for town hall space somewhere and we're in a tough situation. So I'm a little mindful of that, and I want to just be open about that sort of conversation, right? Like there are alternative, that's high value space. It's a high value location. It's in the center of town. It could be used for a business. We had been looking at that, leasing it for, some small business. So there are other alternative uses, and you always want to sort of go for the highest and best use. Well, this is very important. And I think temporarily, certainly it makes sense, right? Because we're not doing anything with it now. But when you start to say to me, we need leases, we need van spots, we need all these things, and there's going to be a list of 20 things that we're going to have to do, it's going to take us a year to do that anyway. Like how long to jump through all those hoops? How long do we think it would take us?
I mean, I don't believe it's insurmountable by any means, and this was just to kind of frame this current discussion of some of the things you have to look at.
Yeah.
I think the challenge we're going to run into is the amount of other projects, facilities projects that are going on right now in the town.
Right.
And whether we can also get some funding to do the bathroom space, I think, and I'm not sure when the MOD grant awards are announced, but December, thank you. Sorry, December.
Thank you. No, please, thank you. Yeah.
I think I think the bathrooms, the parking, and the lease are something we can certainly work with and overcome. I
Yeah.
think my biggest concern is the timing, as you mentioned, with the Grove Street Bridge project.
Yeah.
And it have to be temporary, because if we don't get the grant, where do we go from here? We can't just keep applying.
That's
for the
all I'm
grant
asking
every
for.
year.
That's all I'm asking for is a temporary approval.
Yeah.
If I may, my opinion, I always thought it was a great idea. I think the timing is difficult because I don't think any of us expected. I mean, we've been waiting for the Grove Street Bridge project for a while. I personally have been waiting for the Grove Street project because
Yeah.
I drive over the bridge multiple times a day, and it's even though the brook is only 3-4 feet, I do not want to go swimming. There's snakes there.
So many
Um,
multiples. That you-
But knowing how disruptive it would be with the construction, because I assume we're gonna close Grove Street right at Main, which is going to limit your access anyhow. People, I don't know, you'll lose that parking for
Yeah.
almost a year. And it was a great idea. I just don't know if the timing works. I mean, we could look, like you said, Brett, we could look.
Yeah.
Project it out, but I can't imagine this summer if we're gonna shut the street.
Yeah.
It's gonna make all of downtown very difficult to get around.
Right. We're willing to work with the town on hours for the museum. Please, I mean.
Yeah.
If it's better to us to have a Saturday instead of during the week, we could do that. We usually work 3 days a week right now from 10 to 12, and then we do Saturday once a month.
Yeah.
But we can change our hours to make it easier.
I mean, I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Well, I still think we ought to go the lease process, at least.
Right, go through that. Yeah.
I mean,
with the
the town,
understanding-
the town is paying all
Yeah.
the bills over there. We should get some income for the use of the building.
So I think that makes sense. So it sounds like, we're sort of generally agreeable that something could be worked out sort of temporarily, and we're not making any long-term commitments, but let's see what we can do. And if that's the case, I'm of the mindset of like, how do we just do it faster? Right, and that, like,
It's government.
yeah, no, I understand that, but like they're there in the building now, so like, come on. Like, how many obstacles do we need to put in front of ourselves here? Like, the space is there, it's open, we put in the ramp, it's accessible. It was a library 6 months ago when it was open to the public. So, okay, whatever, however many months it's been, 3 years, oh gosh.
Time flies when you're having fun.
So let's maybe figure out like, what's the minimum that we've got to do to be able to like make the move? And let's figure out how quickly we can do those things. And if someone tells me those things are going to take 6 months, then I'm going to say, fine. If you tell me that that can be done in a month, then I'm going to go, whoopee, let's do it.
Well, there's two paths here, and actually just something dawned on me too. How are there historical commission items or any do they occupy any of the space over there? Because
Where the artifacts are.
Yep.
Is the Historical Society. And
okay,
what we're looking is moving those downstairs to the first floor and taking the artifacts that are in the attic and moving it down. We're not talking about making any changes to the Historical Commission room.
oh, okay, well, no, what I was thinking, I'll tell you.
Because
where my
historical
brain stopped.
commission is a town entity.
Right.
Correct.
So if the historical commission moves to the first floor and wants to store artifacts in there, we don't need a lease.
Or if we want to do some type of MOU between the commission, the society, and the select
Yeah.
board, that works, I think, even better and faster, because the issue, and I went through this with a nonprofit food pantry that wanted to occupy town space, we had to get a value of the space and make sure it was
Right.
1135 and do the lease and everything. So that kind of just popped into my head of if we could maybe work with the commission and the society and the board.
Yeah.
I can look into that and get back to you all on how, I'll talk to legal counsel, make sure that's something that would be feasible and that they could help me draft.
I like that, unless Dennis says absolutely not, we're killing ourselves, don't shoot me in the foot.
Well, that's the other piece. I was just speaking about.
Like, if we're gonna make your life like
I,
way harder for the next 12 months because of this, like, I don't want to do that, but I don't think it's gonna be too disruptive to you.
through the chair, I'm actually in favor of what they want to do. I think it's a good use of the building.
Yeah,
My only concern is the unknown, and the unknown is when construction starts.
it's okay. That's,
Construction is extremely
Yeah.
disruptive,
there,
and we're pulling an entire bridge out.
as long as you're okay with that.
So, I mean, as long as you don't hate me.
I won't.
Yeah, as long as you don't get mad at him for making a lot of noise.
the road.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you going to be eliminating the parking across the street?
There'll be times when you can park in there, there'll be times. when
Well, you won't be able
The
to.
gravel.
And that's what I don't have is a crystal ball to say,
Yeah.
here's the schedule.
You know what? People park on Main Street. people
They
park-
figure it out.
They figure it out. They can walk there from the community center. Come on. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Please. Oh. We'll go around.
One quick question, thank you.
Yeah.
For Dennis, the final vision of what the parking lot will end up looking like at, is there a plan right now in place? So
Yeah.
What are the changes that you saw?
So we have set that up so the project matches the tip. So the sidewalks are gonna match where the tip's gonna come in and meet the radius. There's some drainage work that has to be done. And then we're gonna redo the parking lot and restripe.
So there's currently no sidewalk there.
Correct.
It's just edges
That changes.
that become sidewalks.
Yeah, there are sidewalks in there. The parking lot changes, the parking changes, and there'll be new pavement there and new markings.
And so, nothing has anything to do with Stroh say, my personal question is, customers that currently go to the establishment that's over the water, they park and have to walk over the bridge. Is there gonna be a pedestrian?
Unless they can pole vault that, I doubt it. I think everybody's gonna have to go around and it'll start off with a little confusion like everything always does. Hopefully we get enough signage out there and enough education to the public that they figure it out. It's generally the same group of individuals that go to the establishment. So once they get a routine going,
Just curious if you're.
I mean, but they're gonna be losing significant parking. It's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
But mark my words,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a problem.
it's no.
People are gonna end up parking on Grove, people are gonna end up parking on Grove Street.
I was gonna say, I could run my drive.
Although if Grove Street is a dead end, maybe we don't mind if they park along Grove Street, parallel park.
It's making a dead end, leave it.
I mean, you know, it's gonna be a dead end for a year.
I can't wait. I may not die going to my mailbox.
Yeah,
That's
you
what
can
I'm
go,
looking
you can
forward
go for a
to.
walk, exactly. Okay, I think that's good. Oh, yeah, sorry, yep, go ahead.
So, you know, as you saw the report that I came up with, so you look at every Primerium road, what needs to be done. The only thing that I have a couple of concerns with regards to, I did reach out to New England ADA about the idea of them. The bath, you know, it's the bathroom on the website will say no before you go. That has to be changed on the Historical Society website. The other problem in all of this is that unfortunately that sidewalk, so they park, somebody parks out back there and say they're not even handicapped. And if they have to come over across the street, that walkway, right, it's not ADA compliant. Not only that, it's kind of ripply and just, I don't know how to put some kind of
So-
caution in place because that existing sidewalk that you're gonna have to get traversed to get to the crosswalk is kind of, so I don't know what, just if we put some kind of safety in place for everybody. That's-
Just some signage.
So you're speaking the point where the existing sidewalk heading towards the bridge.
I still wanna stand up and look out the window.
So if somebody was, ideally, there would be one handicap accessible place with, and right now it's not striped off, so somebody could pull in because the sidewalk isn't extended. They could just pull into the parking lot. Okay, so if they've got to traverse out off the ramp, come over and use the bathroom, they have to come up the sidewalk over here,
That's what I mean.
which is a very difficult sidewalk. It's not gentle, it's not correct, and then they've got to get, so there's got to be some kind of like, you know, warning in place or something like to protect everybody, that anybody's going to use it.
Don't you have that through the chair?
Okay, yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. Yep, go ahead.
Don't you have that much up and now on one portion of the sidewalk? Because there's an issue
Yeah.
with placement.
It's a good point and we hear you, right, it's something to do. So thank you.
Just to respond,
Please.
we do videos now. And we would be glad to do something with, putting some postings up on our website and our Facebook page and at the museum and in the paper.
Come see us, but be aware. Yeah,
We can do videos for you.
Yeah.
And we'll be glad to do. If you
Yeah.
can't make it to the museum, we're glad to do it.
Yeah.
Give us temporary access.
Yeah.
So we can show the museum to others and expand our,
no, I
we're
like,
willing to do that.
are you comfortable, or what were your thoughts on the MOU sort of option?
But I think the MOU is a good thing to do.
I think so.
Yeah, sort of the shortest path to getting us to action.
Sort of, so that's-
I like that.
Yep.
So if that's the direction of the board, I will talk to town council, make sure that that's an option, a viable option. And then, these kind of issues that I outlined are things you could work through in an LFA or at least. So
Don't get mad at us if in a couple of years we're like, oh man, sorry, but,
Understood.
You're
okay,
homeless.
all right. Well, you'll never be homeless. You have my promise that on my watch, yes, yeah,
Thank you
that
very
won't happen.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
support.
You bet.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Great work. Thank you for all you do. All right, next up. Holy Angels discussion on setting a special town meeting date. So this is on the heels of our last discussion about this, where the CPC was going to have a meeting. I see Mike is here. Do you want to let us know how that meeting went and sort of what your sense is of the group's sort of perspective? And then we'll see what we think the right next step is, please. Thank you.
Mike Penco, One Grafton Road, chair of the CPC at this moment. The CPC did, we meet first Wednesday of the month, and 2 weeks ago, we did meet and we discussed, Holy Angels with the, historical commission members were there. And, there was no vote taken, but, and, I think the sense of the committee was that they would more likely not support some sort of a restoration project at the church. We have a meeting scheduled first of July, I think, first Wednesday in July. And the historical commission has submitted a draft application for CPC funding. And hopefully after this meeting, I think that draft will be finalized. And that'll be on the agenda for the meeting.
Great. And then, thank you. And Dennis, you were able to get some sort of better estimates. Do you want to walk us through sort of what those were, please? And we'll consider that.
Sure, so
Thank you.
the board has a copy, I hope.
Yep, we do.
Basically, you asked me to reach out to one of our professionals in the field to do a courtesy inspection of the criteria report, take a look at the building and see if we can hone in on what we think the pricing. Keep in mind, the criteria report is starting to age a little bit. It's not that old yet. I suspected it would still be pretty accurate. So you have two options that was generated by Weston and Sampson. For the most part, these options are pretty close to in line with what we got from Criterion for their estimates. Option one is a complete removal and renovation of the roof, including all of the soffit work, gutters. There was some envelope work, which means the sidewalls only where the walls met the roof line, because they deteriorated to the point where you couldn't do the roof logistically and not address that. And then there was the ceiling of the steeple. They put a contingency in, and the estimate was $285,000. That was a complete roof replacement. It did not include sistering any of the roof rafters. And they felt strongly that this type of work was not trigger code, so that we had to address that right now. Keep in mind, we were looking for what we could do now to try to stop the intrusion of the water.
Yeah.
So that can be, the roof rafters can be dealt with at a later date from inside the building. Option two is a little more picky, where it takes a look at specific items on the roof line. Doesn't replace the entire roof, doesn't do all the snow and ice shield, doesn't do all the flashing. It goes after the areas only that are leaking, does a little bit of that envelope work that it has to do, and seals the steeple. And that was $147,420.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say about that one is you will still have to replace that entire roof if down the road you decide to do the full renovation.
Yeah.
So that 147 would for the most part, with the exception of the steeples, 35 grand would go away.
Okay, thank you. And the recommendation, your sort of sense there, I think you said was the option one, right? The, so if you're gonna do it,
Yeah,
do it at the 285 and just get it done, and then you can move on to the rest later if you want to, or have some other transition.
Absolutely.
Okay. Denise, do you want to talk a little bit about this from your perspective? I know we had questions about cost, which I think we got answered, but there were some questions around timing. So from your perspective,
Yeah, we're looking at the July
24th.
opinion. Friday night meeting, have we ever had a Friday night? I don't know. In terms of the date, I think it's doable.
Yeah.
If you get full ad set up of voters.
Yeah.
Yeah, town meeting is a lot easier to put it for the election, so
Okay,
I think that timeframe works.
got it.
I can't, Friday.
Right. I don't think anybody's a fan of a Friday night meeting. That was, and why were we left with the Friday night? Can you
No.
please remind us, Madam Town Manager?
Yes, Chair, Madam, oh my goodness. Yeah. We reached out, so Nipmuc does not have the ability because of the repairs that they're doing to host us this summer. So I reached out to BVT and they have booked their competition center to various sports organizations this summer to accommodate for the construction taking place at Nipmuc. So they only have one available evening date this summer, and it is Friday, July 24th.
Okay, and
Friday, but yeah.
yeah, and also just to sort of speak generally about it so that folks understand, right? The reason we're even talking about this is with the very optimistic hope that we could get the building buttoned up before winter. We don't know if that's possible, but we're going to try like heck, and this would be us trying like heck to do that. So I think that's why this whole conversation sort of came up over the past couple of weeks. So questions, comments, yeah?
Could you give us a rough timeline?
so we're looking at the meeting in July.
Yeah.
How soon after the meeting, Denise, is the authority? Then we could move forward. 15 days?
I think it's less than time. The other complication is I would think
To get our professional services on board, it's not gonna require an OPM. It's just, it's gonna be an invitation for bid only.
Yeah.
It's gonna trigger some of the rules, DCAM, because it's over a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
Really put me on the spot. I'm trying to be as accurate as I can, so July. You're gonna advertise for a month.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna check references and a notice to proceed. Yeah. Yeah, and then when you finally have the notice to proceed, now you have to schedule everything with the contractor based on their availability. You're right around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, tight.
So you're not even gonna be able to button it up for the winter?
That's
not what he said.
No.
It's tight.
He said it's tight.
The word tight is correct.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely won't be able to do it if we don't try.
So when are you saying that they are going to proceed
They would have to get going in November
in November?
to get that buttoned up quick. And if we have an early winter, it could really rain on our parade. But typically we don't. Typically, November is, we get some things done. The hot top plants generally stay open until right after Thanksgiving. So it's, I'm not gonna say it's not doable, because that's what you're asking me. It's incredibly tough.
The other question is, on the CPC, you're saying that they haven't approved that yet?
Right. We discussed it, but we haven't taken any votes. And at this moment, we don't have an application before us for funding, but we should have an application available to us for the next meeting on July 1st.
You know how much money we have in the CPC funds? What's the roof here? It's gonna be 3 point something million.
That was gonna be bonded.
But CPC has to pay it.
Right, right, but in terms of available funding, I don't have the exact number for them, but there is certainly enough available funds to cover 285,000. Yeah, definitely is.
Everything we voted at the town meeting, the past town meetings.
Yeah.
I'd kind of like to get something from Kenny to find out just what our undesignated fund balance is and what the bond payments are gonna be for the roof.
And I actually did, I was looking at the dates that I reached back to Kenny, and unfortunately, I have not heard back yet. I will reach back out to him, because you have to look at what's appropriate also, as opposed to just extending, so.
I mean, you can take it out of the historical and then the undesignated fund balance, but what's in that undesignated fund balance right now?
I don't want to quote exactly, but it's north of $1 million. I don't know exactly how much. That's the undesignated fund itself.
And the debt service payments come out of undesignated fund balance plus.
Well, they, last year, for example, the CPC revenue was around $1 million. And we had the long-term debt, there's like 3 long-term commitments right now. One is the original town hall bond, which turns out to be around something like $270,000 a year. Then there's going to be this second town hall bond, which I don't know what that's going to be, but it probably will be, that similar order of magnitude. And then the third one is we've committed to $100,000 a year for the school fields project. So there's those 3 long-term commitments, but
Plus what we voted at town meeting.
right, but the revenue this past year was $1 million, and the general trend for the revenue is going up slowly over the years.
If I may, is that $1 million across all the different parts of CPC?
Right, right.
So it's not just $1 million into historic or?
No, it's.
So when we talk about all of these, I just want to make sure I understand. When we talk about town hall, we talk about the field, I know the fields are recreation.
Yeah.
And then we talk about senior moment. Housing, thank you. Is that all coming out of the same pot? I mean, even though we bring in $1 million, I know it has to be distributed.
So, right, so basically 30% of the $1 million gets put into three categories: the open space rec, the affordable housing, and the historical. So that leaves you completely uncommitted. Say last year it was around 700,000.
You have the admin portion of it as.
And there's like 25,000.
Oh, yeah, it's small.
Very small. So, but again, the actual balance of the undesignated fund, I'm quite sure it's north of $1 million. I just don't recall exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, the money is there, right? Like, let's.
We don't know
be-
that.
We,
I'd like to.
We do know that.
No, we don't.
no,
How do
Kenny
you know
hasn't
that?
answered.
Can't get anything from Kenny.
I asked on June 5th, so I.
We have no figures from him on that. How do you know?
Okay. I don't know what to tell you. Except you got a CPC chair sitting in front of you.
Do you
This
get
is-
reports?
This is what they do.
We request reports from Kenny. We didn't get one last month.
You didn't.
Did not get one last month.
But I mean, the issues about that are separate from does the CPC have $285,000 available to spend on this project? Right, the issues with the finance director are, that's a different question.
I don't feel comfortable going forward with the special town meeting, July 24th. I'd rather wait until November because I don't think you're gonna get it done before winter anyways.
I would agree. I mean, I know historically the last week of July, first week of August are 2 of the biggest vacation weeks. And if we're gonna be fair about this, we need to make sure as many people as possible will be, and everybody plans on November. I don't think 2 months is gonna make a huge difference. That's my own feeling. And I would also like to have definitive numbers. Because I know we didn't move forward with anything last year because we were concerned about not having the money. You know, I'm perfectly fine putting it on November, but, to rush it for, it looks like we're rushing. And then Thanksgiving. I would hope we don't have winter like last year, but one never knows. We get a lot of rain, a lot of wet. Roofers can't work.
Please.
I guess this question for you, Dennis. It doesn't sound like this includes the roof trusses.
Doesn't.
So what I'm confused about is in the criteria report, they had 175,000 for the roof and the trusses. It didn't include the steeple, but that was separate, that was extra 35. And this is 285, it doesn't even include the trusses, so that's a huge increase.
But some time has passed since Criterion has done that work, so you do have inflation has changed. And also Criterion, keep in mind that you have two different types of engineering services. Weston Criterion takes a more of a broader look at things than Weston and Sampson does. Weston and Sampson are the designers. They're the ones that actually put the ink on the paper and design the project. And they use a third party, what do you call it?
Cost estimate.
Yes, so they actually have an external company that actually figured out the pricing. So what I'm trying to say is I feel, if anything, you're gonna get more accurate about pricing at Weston and Sampson. But they're not that far off, considering the difference in time.
I guess my concern is, so I feel proud of our community because we were the type of community that said we want to set aside tax money every year for these three purposes. We want to do historic renovation, we want to do open space, we want to support affordable housing. So when the idea came up that we could do something like this without an extra burden to the taxpayer, because the money's already taken out of our taxes, it began to make sense to me why that was done. And we are a community that does feel that's important. And the idea of it going through another winter when the price, of course, will go up because there will be more damage. Well, we know there'll be more damage. But I am hopeful that we recognize that that's a big value in our community, is to do historic renovation. And like we did to Milton Steen, and like we're hopefully gonna make the space for you folks downstairs and broaden our museum and do this type of thing and keep our town having that same feel that the downtown visioning community said that they wanted to do with no burden to the taxpayer. I even thought if we had a Friday night meeting, it wouldn't be too bad because I think everybody would be supportive of this when they realize there's no extra tax burden for them. And we could preserve our beautiful downtown the way it is my.
I would say it is an added tax burden because if the townspeople don't want to put it on Holy Angels, we have other buildings that we're currently using that have historical ramifications that would take the money away from them. So it is a tax burden. I would just respectfully disagree with you.
What buildings are you?
And any of our other buildings, you know, any of the other projects that could be done in town. You know, we have the Racine. It has multiple uses. Right now, Holy Angels does not have a use, and we received an email from Stuart Saginaw and said it's smart to be cautious about investing CPA money in a building that has no current use and a high chance of being sold by the town in the future. He wasn't, you know, we talked about all sorts of restrictions and potential issues. So I think this is a town-wide issue. And every available voter that can be there should be there. And like I said, a Friday night in the summer on two of the busiest weeks, you know, it bookends. I don't know where the 24th is because I can't do the math in relation to the 4th, but I think it's the Friday night before the, you know, the following weekend that is the Saturday of the 4th, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Oh, July.
Yeah,
July.
around month.
Oh, well,
July
the meeting
24th,
would be-
July.
Oh, July 20th. Oh, I'm totally whacked up.
Just a month off, you're okay. Yeah, and
So, but I am not comfortable doing a special town meeting, trying to rush something when there is no guarantee we'd even get through. I do not want, like I said, it's a townwide issue. I want as many people to come to town meeting as possible. And I don't think a summer meeting on a Friday night is feasible.
And I would agree with that.
the,
I mean, if we had said, hey, look, we can do this and we can start in September, I'd feel different. But looking at best case scenario, Thanksgiving, I'm not comfortable.
But you're willing to put it on for November, so that's good.
Yes.
And just from a different point of view, if the town's interest is to sell the building, if we don't fix it up at this point in time, it might be a lot more difficult to sell it if the roof happens to collapse over this coming winter. So that's just something to keep in mind from a different perspective.
I just wanted to ask the question to all of you people that are going to vote on this. If you had a hole in your roof and you had to delay repairing it until the winter was over, what would you do? If you had a leaky roof, wouldn't you try to do something to prevent water from coming in? Why can't we put a tarp on that? I know you don't like the way it's gonna look. And I'm sure I wouldn't like the way it was gonna look. But it would save the building from any more deterioration during the winter.
I think most of the water's coming in through the steeple, not necessarily the roof. Am I correct, Dennis?
Most of it's the flashing, near the chimney, but the steeple has the majority.
Yeah.
According to the.
There must be some way that we can temporarily prevent that from leaking though.
When it first came up, Mrs. Burrow, quite frankly, I thought, let's just tar the heck out of it. Get up there with a bunch of tar but it's not, the way it's built, it's not feasible.
Something needs to be done because we can't let that sit there like that all winter. Deteriorate.
I hold firm that it's all of the townspeople's choice. Yes. And a summer meeting on something that probably the work won't even begin. I am not comfortable putting that forth.
I hear what you're saying. I would also,
Had been an issue for not starting today and going forward. It's been an issue for.
we've been trying for a long time.
Yeah.
The thing I would offer, so I definitely am not a fan of special town meetings on Friday nights in the summer. And I know you guys aren't going to support this, so I know it doesn't matter, but I'm really just going on record to say, like, this issue, the Holy Angels building and investing in its preservation and investing in us owning it has come up time and time again at town meeting. 5, 6, 7 votes. The townspeople have said yes, 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 nearly unanimously every time. They keep telling us, how many times do we have to go to town meeting before we respond?
Could we just do the steeple part if that's the worst part? It would be a lot less than an ask.
Is that question for me through the chair?
Go ahead.
Take a shot at it?
Yeah.
I tend to think that the timing for doing the bid and all of the paperwork and everything associated with that really wouldn't change much, doing just the steeple and not the roof. It's 2 different approaches. The roof is an architectural asphalt shingle, much more simple to deal with. Steeple has glazing, ground glass, and other materials up there. It's going to require staging and some considerable accommodations for keeping people safe while they're up there and working on it. So I don't know that timing wise, it would be necessarily quicker just to do the steeple for getting the job going. Did that make sense? I'm talking about starting the job. I don't know that it would be any faster than go better.
Go ahead.
If I may, my name's Dave Norwood. My background's in museums, historic preservation, other things like that. I just want to put in a note that particularly with old properties, compared to newer built properties, homes, anything of that sort, damage compounds in a particularly damaged way compared to when you're envisioning, even from Joan's example, if your own roof had a leak in it, you know, your modern built house had a leak in it, you know, you want to patch it. And we're talking about a much older structure like Holy Angels, or even my house from 1851 that had a leak, things like that over the winter. You know, if we have another equally severe winter, you know, huge amounts of snow on that roof leaking through, it's not the same impact as on a modern building. It's already a pretty badly compromised historic structure. So, you know, the bones, if we will, of that structure just maybe won't withstand many more bad winters. And I think the chair had a great point that if Holy Angels was already voted to be preserved multiple times, and if there's money in a fund for it, from my background in museums, I think it'd be great for the community to pursue it. And I think the community might be upset if over another very difficult winter, lots of snow, the roof caves in, and they'll say, we voted to preserve this building, and now the roof caved in, and nothing was ever done to preserve it. And if the roof caves in, imagine the next step is, oh, now it's too expensive to preserve it, now we have to tear it down. Because once again, it's such an old structure, we're not talking the same timetables that you might even be thinking for your own house. So just to provide that context for the conversation.
Thank you.
When did we vote at town meeting so many times to preserve it?
Oh my God, where's the list?
Why didn't we appropriate the money then?
We did. We've appropriated the money so many times, Maureen. So many
Well, we
times. Do you have that list? Where's the list?
We appropriated money to paint it. Now,
Yeah,
was
we
it
appropriated
before-
money to purchase it. We
Well-
literally, the town voted to purchase it with the auspices of like, this is what we're doing as part of our revitalization.
I know, but
Okay.
since then, you
Yeah.
said there's been many town meetings.
There have been.
Okay.
I don't have the list of those votes in front of me. I know they were sent to me in the past and I can,
Two structural analysis, we voted to fix the roof because it did fall in at one point.
And we did, we patched it, I believe.
Yeah, if we, if it's and decisions made to take the church home down, and I know that a few years ago, the estimate was $300,000, does that have to go to a town meeting vote too?
No.
No, that would have to go to take down, we can go to town meeting vote.
For the money,
I don't think it's-
we'd have to go to town meeting for the money, but as far as disposing of it, that's up to the Board of Selectmen. That's the way it's written.
Mr. Chairman, you have a question.
yeah. Thank you. Go ahead on the phone.
Hi, I've been enjoying this spirited conversation. I'm Julie Jonkis. I live on Forest Street. And I just wanted to second that. I've been in town for 4 years and I have heard this issue come up so many times about Holy Angels. And my fear is that putting this off, and I get what you're saying, Laura, that it's like it's less attendance will happen in July. But I do feel like there's been that perpetual support multiple times that you are going to get the people that care about the topic to come out. And it's just going to cost us more money if we keep kicking the ball down the road. Don't mind my cute daughter behind us. That's all I just wanted to add.
Thank you.
$3.9.
3.9.
$0.9 million to replace that and only 283.
Through the chair.
That,
By me.
No, I don't want to talk about this. Town hall. Any other comments on this? Yeah, go ahead.
I'd just like to
All right.
comment, Dennis, Chair, if you bring this issue up as a warrant for the November special election, we're sure that work cannot be done on Holy Angels until next April or May earliest. If you have a special town meeting in July, I'm sure the possibility that work can be done beginning potentially sometime in November. We have many mild early winters over the last 10 years that you're talking potentially, Dennis, 2 weeks of work. 2 weeks of work in early December is entirely possible. An early bad winter, of course, rules it out, but the work could then begin in March or April of next year. If it's voted on, approved this year and the bid is put out September, October timeframe. If you
Through the chair.
if
Go
you
ahead.
wait till November, you guarantee no work can be done on next year.
I'm mostly in agreement with what you just said, except for I'm not comfortable saying 2 weeks worth of work. Because I don't have enough knowledge and expertise to know exactly what the time frame. To me, it sounds like it's a week and a half of putting staging up. That's just my impression, but.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you. There's no motion, so. I can make a motion, but nobody's gonna second it. But you don't support going to.
I do not
You
support.
You don't support it. So, okay.
Sorry.
Yep. All right, next up is a vote to sign short-term borrowing ban notes for the DPW building renovation expansion project.
Through the chair, if I may.
Yeah.
We did hold a bond anticipation note sale today, in the amount of $1.5 million. And, it's a short-term borrowing, what's known as a ban or bond anticipation note. The payoff date would be March 18th, 2027. This is very common when you're doing large projects to start off with a ban until you know what your, final numbers and permanent financing are going to be. You also have the opportunity to get often better financing when it's better rates, when it's short-term financing. So I am pleased to report there were 3 bidders. Oppenheimer, 4%. Hometown Bank at 3.25, and Unibank came in at 3.1%, which I think is a pretty fantastic interest rate, particularly in our given market. So I would like to ask the board if they would make a motion to sign the lending documents and award the sale to Unibank at an interest rate of 3.1%.
We have a motion?
I'll make the motion that the board, in accordance with Massachusetts general law and the town of Upton bylaws, move to approve and sign the short-term borrowing notes awarding the 1.5 million grant to Unibank for the DPW building renovation expansion project.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous action. Next up is the ESS acceptance of a $400 donation.
Through the chair, we received an unsolicited but generous gift of $400 from an anonymous donor. And they respectfully request the board accept this gift to help support expenses associated with their monthly birthday bash luncheon. Try to say that 3 times.
Yeah. I probably can say it once.
Okay, do I have a
Would you like
motion?
I move the select board accept an unsolicited $400 donation to support expenses associated with the monthly birthday bash luncheon pursuant to MGL Chapter 44, Section 53A, and extend the town's appreciation to our anonymous donor.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. And the vote to create a town hall building committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to turn this over to Dennis Westgate at this.
So, the town hall renovations is on our hit list to get going. I actually wanted to get going on this a little earlier, but the Grove Street Bridge slowed me down, and along with the 140 project. Working with Michael Antonellis and our building commissioner, we think that in lieu of an OPM, because it is over 1.5 million, so it requires an OPM, or the town has the ability to utilize one of its own staff according to procurement laws. And we do have John, who is qualified. Between administration for myself and the expertise of John, we can save the town probably the better part of 135,000 or so for an OPM. But I do need the building committee to be formed to go forward to do the designer selection. That is the next phase of this process. And then we can get going on getting this building out to bid.
How many people do you want on it?
I think it's stipulated in our designer selection. 5, I think, is what is on DPW. Sorry, I don't have that answer for you.
No, sounds good. That's pretty typical.
Through the chair, I would ask if you're amenable to creating this committee, that you allow me the authorization to work with Dennis to create the charge for the committee and the composition for the committee in accordance with our designer selection bylaw designer selection policy that the board has approved.
Yeah, works for me.
Works for me. Would you like a motion?
please.
I move that the select board establish a town hall building committee pursuant to Mass General Law, chapter 41, section 4A, for the purpose of overseeing the planning, design, and construction phases of the town hall renovation and expansion project, that the committee consist of 5 members or any other appropriate number appointed by the select board, and that the town manager prepare a written committee charge outlining the committee's purpose, scope of authority, responsibilities, and stakeholder representation.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries by unanimous action. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 2 appointments, the appointment to the Cemetery Commission of Edward Phillips.
Good Chair, Mr. Phillips is here this evening. We did receive an application to serve on the Cemetery Commission. I understand that Mr. Phillips has been involved in the past, and he's been working on developing a database, which I had the opportunity to look at a few days or weeks ago, and I would recommend this appointment.
Great. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, I'll take a motion, please.
I move that the select board appoint Edward Phillips to the Cemetery Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2029. Vacancy pursuant to Mass General Law, chapter 41, section 11, and the town of Upton general bylaws.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for your previous service and all the work you've been doing recently. I know it's yeoman's work.
Okay, sure. Appointment of a part-time communications officer, Faith Servio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I intend to appoint Faith Servio to the position of part-time communications officer upon the recommendation of Chief Paul Mary, and I would ask that the board please waive the 15-day waiting period.
Okay, fine with me. Yep.
With me. I move that the select board affirm the town manager's appointment of Faith Servio to the position of part-time communications officer at the salary established by the town manager, and further vote to waive the 15-day review period under the town of Upton personnel bylaw, allowing the appointment to take effect immediately.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries by unanimous action. Thank you. Minutes. I read a bunch of minutes, but I don't know what the dates were. I didn't write them down. So which ones of these did we receive? All 4 of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Plus the April 28th, which will be on the next.
But don't approve those, just, we're gonna do these.
Do these 4. We'll do these 4. Okay.
Um,
Any questions? Yeah.
I just had a couple of very minor corrections. March 31st, line 10, Brett DiDio.
To send those, I don't have.
I will hand them to you, but I wanted to put it on the record.
Oh, sure.
Brad Didio's name was spelled incorrectly. Line 67 and 68 was repeated. April 1st. No, sorry, can't read my own writing. April 28th, line 34. It said somebody explained, but it didn't say who. So we just need to put the name in. No.
Why then it's not there.
Oh, okay. All right, other than that, I was fine with them. Just a couple of clarifications.
Very good.
So.
There.
Yeah, I move the March 17th, 2006, the March 24th, 2006, the March.
2026. You're worse than me.
Oh, God.
You do all them.
Feel better?
We got that. We
You
got
wait
it.
till you get there.
We got this exactly.
I move we March 17th, March 24th, March 31st, and April 14th of 2026.
Crushed it.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous action. All right.
You want to pass that down? Sue, I highlighted them. I put it on the front page.
Motion
I
to
actually
adjourn.
read 'em.
Motion to
I made
adjourn.
the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.